Hi friends, welcome back to Noodles and Nook. So today I'm doing some stovetop cooking since people wanted to see me cook on my stove for whatever reason. But the other day, I didn't film it because I didn't feel like being on film, and that happens once in a while. But we made up a roast that I had found in the freezer because we finally got around and finally cleaned out the big freezer. So I'm like, well, before that goes bad, it's not that new bunch we just bought, but it was an older one that I didn't even realize I had. So we cooked that up with the onions and the celery and the potatoes and stuff. And then it wasn't quite as done as I like my roast to be done, and I did that, obviously I said, in the Instant Pot. So what I did is I put that in there for a little bit longer time. And I mean, it's still a really nice size piece of meat. So over in this pan real quick, I have some butter melting. I'm going to go ahead and throw in a little bit of my frozen onions. And I'm going to start to get those brown. Now I don't know for sure exactly what this is going to be called. To me it's going to be just like a beef tip noodles, but it's not beef tips. And I was asking Mary at Little House Happy Home, what can I make with this roast? And she's like, well, I've made this, and she gave me a couple ideas. Some people on Facebook gave me some good ideas. And I'm like, well, you know, that tastes really good if we threw some some onions and mushrooms in there, so that's what's happening. So let me bring it down here. I'm going to show you. I'm going to go, just got to get the stuff on this thing here. Go ahead and get this cut up. And then what's going to happen is I'm going to go ahead and put this in with the onions, and I'm going to put some mushrooms in here. And then I'll go ahead and I have another pot started that I can actually start some egg noodles. And I thought I wouldn't make the whole batch up. Not that there's a lot amount of meat, but I thought if there is anything left over, because we've been doing Mark's lunch to have for the Hot Logic, that, you know, if he thinks this is a good meal, or if I do, you know, one of us could have this for like one of the lunches. So I think that will work. If there's extras, that works out just fine. So wanted to go ahead and get this cubed up. And then what I'll do is I'll wash my hands, bring you over to the stove, and show you the rest. Alright, so the onions are pretty much done. I'm going to throw in a can of my canned mushrooms. And give that like a little bit of a swirl. And I'll be cooking this all together for a little bit before I add the beef broth. Now, I don't know for sure if this is how people normally would cook this, because I've never fixed it this way. Because we don't usually have roast. Mark thought I liked roast. I thought he liked roast. I kind of find out neither of us really care for it. So that works out too, either way, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and let that cook for a few minutes together. And then what I'm going to do is I will be putting the beef broth. We'll make this into like a little bit of a gravy and add this together, and then we'll put that over top of the egg noodles. Alright, hopefully you can see this. This is actually my dried, the dry brown gravy mix that I make, and I'm making 3 cups. So what I'm going to do is I put the 6 tablespoons of the mix, and I'm just going to go ahead and use my whirligig here once I get some of this mixed up here. This whirligig usually works really well. I think my battery's dying. Yeah, I think my battery's dying on that. So bring it back up to the stove. Go ahead and put this in. Now, I usually also do use some of this browning mix. That's what my mom always used. with her, so I'll put a little bit in there. And you can see how that's going to actually turn a little browner faster. I'm going to go ahead and I turn this on low to let this go ahead and just cook together. Let the gravy cook up. The water is starting to boil for the noodles. And we'll go ahead and get this caught up. I don't know for sure if you can see that. But that's looking pretty good. And we'll let that thicken. And we'll start the noodles here. Alright, so the noodles got done. I go ahead and throw some on a plate. And I asked Mark if he wanted a vegetable, and he said no, I'm okay with not having a vegetable too. So that's fine. And this has been sitting here cooking there for a while. And what I'm just going to go ahead and do is just ladle this over the egg noodles. Now I did add some garlic and onion mix to that. But this is what that's looking like. It's not really beef tip and noodles because, like I said, it is just leftover roast. But it made into a really nice, different meal. I did actually add more of the beef broth to this because the more it sat there, waiting for the noodles to get done, that did actually thicken up some. And I didn't want to have something that was so thick. So, anyways, have you guys ever made anything like this other than Mary? But let me know in the comments down below what you might have done differently. And thank you very much for stopping by. I hope you have a very blessed and wonderful day.